Harry's Wife, Part 102.16. Offended by everything, ashamed of nothing. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Certain narcissists, often mid-range, hold themselves out as being virtuous individuals who are then affronted by the slightest of things, finding offence where none was intended, finding fault where none actually exists. And this is indicative of the way that certain sections of the world have gone in terms of causing people to have to feel ashamed for telling a particular joke, for lambasting people for using the wrong terminology. You're not allowed to use these words any longer. You're not allowed to use such a term. Being prescriptive in the way that people should be speaking, and doing on the basis of, I am allowed freedom of speech to tell you how you should live your life, but I deny you the freedom of speech to use your terminology because I've deemed that it's offensive. Harry's wife, as you know, claimed that the royal family were racist. There was no evidence to support that. Her narcissism interpreted an innocent comment about what Archie would look like as being motivated by racism. Her narcissism seeks out offence in order to compel her to reject that perceived threat to control and to cause her, by being offended, by being supposedly upset, to then nullify that threat to control in a particular way. There's an article in something called theroot.com, which apparently is black news and black views with a whole lot of attitude. And the headline is, Harry's wife called 2017 Vanity Fair feature, headline, racist. A new royal book reveals the Duchess of Sussex was outraged by the headline, which she felt referenced a racist scene in a 1930s film. Seems tenuous, doesn't it? Well, let's get down to the evidence and find out. Whether you're totally vested, or couldn't care less, the article states, you're probably up to speed with Harry's wife's less than complimentary coverage in the media since she's been publicly paired with Prince Harry. But according to a new book, Harry's wife has had issues with the media's coverage of her relationship with Harry from the very beginning. The book, Courtiers, The Hidden Power Behind the Crown, reveals that Harry's wife was irate about a 2017 Vanity Fair cover story she felt was racist. In her book, royal author Valentine Lowe writes that among the issues she had with the story, Harry's wife felt the headline, "She's just wild about Harry," was just a little too close to the title of the song, I'm Just Wild About Harry. Okay. I'm pretty certain that if you went through a number of headlines, you could find fairly similar headlines or song titles to it if you really wanted to. If you were really that bored, if you were really that trivial, then as a consequence of that, you would find that there would be some method of finding a song title, a film title, a book title, analogous to the title in a headline. The newspaper states she's just wild about Harry, and she thinks, well, that's just a little too close, and it's being deliberately done to the title of the song, I'm Just Wild About Harry. Okay, what's the problem with I'm Just Wild About Harry? Well, according to the article, and in case you don't know much about 1930s films, and we wouldn't blame you if you didn't, Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney performed that song, along with a group of dancers in blackface, in the 1939 musical film Babes in Arms. Now, of course, blackface at the time, nothing was seen as that being wrong. Times have changed, and now blackface is frowned upon for the most part. However, Harry's wife, taking a film from the 1930s that many people probably never heard of, then equates that to a newspaper title, and therefore saying, I claim offence. This is racist. Lowe's book explains that the Duchess was excited to participate in the interview, which was timed around the 100th episode of Suits, the drama she starred in from 2011 to 2018. Of course, we've never been told that before, and we always have to be reminded of that fact. Harry's wife hoped the feature would zero in on her acting career and charitable efforts. But instead, the story seemed to focus entirely on her relationship with Prince Harry, and as well it might, of course, I observe, because that's the only reason people know about her. Nothing to do with her acting career, nothing to do with her supposed charitable efforts, nothing to do with being a humanitarian, everything to do with the ginger prince that she married. The book, the article continues, explains Harry's wife was so upset by the Vanity Fair coverage that she wanted to fire her public relations advisor, Kayleigh Thomas Morgan, who was left in charge of negotiating the details of the interview. Assertion of control. She was very unhappy with how that had been handled, said a source, according to an excerpt from the book. She didn't like the photograph. She thought the story was negative. She was upset that it was about Harry, not about her. Well, that, of course, would be entirely appropriate, because, of course, it has to be about her. And everything must be about her, and if it's about Harry, then it's not about her. And that wounds her and threatens her sense of control. There aren't many comments to this article, but somebody called Saiban states, she may be giving them too much credit. I doubt they're this smart. Really smart would have been letting you know up front what the focus of the story would be and why. He's the draw, not a show few of us were even aware of. Good luck getting any more access, VF. Somebody else, doesn't this just feed into the claims coming out of England that she was unbearable to be around because she always wanted it to be about her, even calling her about wanting to be Queen Bee? And then somebody else has just put up a gif of Stretch Armstrong, therefore suggesting that it's a stretch to suggest that there was any link between the title She's Just Wild About Harry and I'm Just Wild About Harry. And of course it is. They're not related in the slightest. And anybody that's got an ounce of common sense can see that. But of course, Harry's wife finds offence where none exists. Why? The paranoia of her narcissism, which utilises the issue of race, even though, of course, for a long time she portrayed herself as being white. But when her narcissism recognised, actually, now's a good time to commandeer the black side of things. Let's use biraciality. Let's side with black people, even though we've never done anything for black people. We've never dated a black man. I've not been married to a black man. That I've actually married into what some would say is a white colonial empire-building institution. Indeed, some might say is the complete antithesis of anything that's black. But nevertheless, that doesn't matter to Harry's wife, because chameleon that she is, she will utilise race as and when her narcissism deems that it's suitable. And here, it has made the ridiculous link between a newspaper headline and a song which happens to include something involving blackface, and then to call it out as racist. If ever there was an example of the ridiculousness of Harry's wife and the lengths to which her narcissism goes to find offence where none exists, this is it. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.